Welcome to Libby's Cooking Class! Hooray! Let's cook and be healthy! This week's theme is STEM. Do you know what this means? It's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. When you hear that, do you think of something like this? But actually, this has a lot to do with cooking. Cooking is all about the STEM content. A recipe is part of what is needed to make a desired dish. The recipe is there to make sure that no matter who makes it, it will taste the same. Cooking is a precise weighing of ingredients, what cooking techniques are used, and how they are combined, and the chemical changes that occur. It is also known as STEAM, with the addition of the A, as in art. Art in cooking is the sense of color that makes something look delicious. Making it look good is very important. Here is the recipe, and here are the ingredients. Once you've gathered all the ingredients, let's proceed. Let's think about what kind of food you want to make with these ingredients. Well, First, I want to make meatballs with pork. I'll slice up some lotus root and put the meatballs between the slices. As for the name, I've decided on sandwiches. Since these are meatballs, I'm going to chop the onions. And since I'm going to sandwich them with lotus root, I'll probably cut the lotus root into thin slices. I like to add salt and starch because it makes the meatballs stickier and easier to put together. I knead the meat well, divide it into 2 or 4 pieces, and sandwich them between the lotus roots. Then bake and serve with vegetables. First, chop the onions. Make a cut with some of it still connected. Then turn it around and chop it into small pieces. Make the same cut and chop it into small pieces again. This is kind of like the engineering element. If you wear goggles or use a fan to blow away the oil from the onions, you'll have less tears. Next is the lotus root. Peel the skin with a peeler. Wash it once and cut it. Hold it tight with one hand so that it won't roll away. Cut it so that both ends are slightly blackened. Slice them thinly so that they can soften easily. If you can't cut them thin enough, you can use about this thickness. The lotus root turns black when exposed to air, so put it in some water. This is kind of like science, isn't it? The cross-section is pretty. It looks like a flower. The next step is to weigh the meat. This is the math component. Place the plastic bag on a scale and set it to 0. Add 80 grams of meat. Then, add 15 grams of chopped onion. 0.5 grams of salt. If the weight doesn't show the minimum unit, you can use your finger and thumb to add a pinch of salt just like this. This salt is not for the flavor, but to make the meat sticky and easier to hold together. Next, let's add 2 grams of potato starch. And 2 grams of potato starch will help the meat and onions hold together too. Hold the empty part of the bag tightly so that the contents are exposed and knead the meat. You can also tie the bag, but it's better to tie it in a way that not too much air gets into the bag so that it won't tear when you need it. Now let's check the contents. This is not yet put together, so you still need to knead it and mush it around. But if you knead it well, it will be sticky, and when you cook it, the juices from the meat will not run out, making it nice and tasty. This is another part of science. There's also a large element of engineering involved in determining the state of the meat. Look, it's turned a little white and has become sticky. Let's knead it until it looks like this. Next, lay out a piece of plastic wrap. This will be how to form it. Pat the lotus root dry and place it on the plastic wrap. Sprinkle a thin layer of potato starch on the lotus root so that the meat sticks well to the root. Tie the top of the bag. Cut the bottom corner of the bag with scissors and squeeze out the meat from there. It's easy to squeeze when it's about this big. Squeeze it out on top of the lotus root. The size of the lotus circle is so small that I have extra meat, so I can make another one. Place the lotus root on top of the meat and hold it down so that it sticks together. If the meat comes out of the hole a little, it will be harder to remove. Dip your hands in the potato starch as well and shape them. Next, it's time to measure out the ingredients for the sauce. Use a teaspoon of sugar and look at it from the side to make sure it's not too piled up. Add the sweet rice wine, also just 1 teaspoon. Next, cooking rice wine, 1 teaspoon again. Soy sauce is also 1 teaspoon. everything, stir it together. The next step is to bake it and serve it. But before we bake, let's take a look one more time at the menu item. Since the pork is minced, it'll taste great in flake form. Well, let's try it with a mixture of brown meat and vegetables. That's why I decided to name the menu Salad! Let's chop up the onion so it's mixed with the mince, and cut the lotus root into large pieces so it's chunky and edible. Let's chop the onion into chunks and let the lotus root into large pieces so that it will be crispy. The meat should be lightly mixed with the vegetables. Just stir fry, garnish with lettuce and tomatoes, and you're good to go! Now let's try to make this menu too. Cut the onion into the same chunks as in the sandwich. And cut the lotus root into larger pieces than the slice. This will make the texture crispy. Wrap the lotus root in plastic wrap and set it aside. There is no need to soak them in water, as they'll be fried up very soon. Add 80 grams of pork with 15 grams of chopped onion. And place it in a bag and mix gently. Now, let's move on to the grilling process. Today we'll use a hot plate to bake the sandwiches and the salad meat together so that we can compare them. If you're making it at home, you can use a frying pan. Oil the pan and spread it out. This is to prevent the meat from sticking to the pan. It also improves the flavor and evenly distributes the heat. Lay out the sandwich meat. Add the salad lotus root first, then the meat, and cook. The meat on the salad has changed color. Turn the meatballs over and cook them on both sides. Cover the thick lotus root and meatballs with a lid and steam so they are heated through. You can add the sauce to both. Toss the meat with the sauce. And when cooked, place it on a plate. Place the salad meat on a slightly deeper plate so that it can be mixed with the lettuce. Adding green and red colors here can make the food look delicious. It is also an element of art. Serve vegetables with meatballs on the side or the top with salad meat. Yay! The sandwich is ready! And here's the finished salad. Now let's look over the flow chart of the process again. even with the same ingredients, by changing the way they're cut and the procedure, you've created a completely different dish. Now it's your turn to come up with your own dish and try to make it. I'm sure it'll be interesting to add another ingredient or change the seasoning. You name it. I tasted both, and the sandwich was fluffy and juicy when I ate it. The salad had a good flavor to the parboiled meat, and I ate it without dressing because I mixed it up. I think it would be even great on a tortilla slice or even over rice. Yay! We did it! You can try it at home too. Try your best and see you next time. Goodbye!